Okay, here we are with this week's edition of the Midweek Howl, the non-paranormal part of the From the Shadows podcast. Boy, it's a mouthful to say every time, but
Yeah.
I feel good saying it though. It makes it clear to everybody that we're not talking about Bigfoot unless you got a Bigfoot.
I got size 15, so when you're talking to me, you're talking to Bigfoot, Jack. I don't know.
The Bigfoot.
You know?
Okay, so I was told a story. I was told like a little story today, and it made me think of you. And I wanted to.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Wait till you hear this story.
Well, it's not a P Diddy story. Not no freak off action.
No, it's not.
Thinking about me.
It's not a P Diddy story. Although I don't know. Wait till you hear it's just a little quip that my sub told me today. When she was on another route a couple weeks ago, she said she's walking down the street and she kept hearing, heard the sound like somebody yelling and screaming, and she was looking around and she didn't see anybody, and she had an earbud in, so she's like listening to a podcast or something, and so she took it out, and all of a sudden she heard a guy's voice yelling, "Help! Help me! Help me! They're coming to get me!" And she couldn't she couldn't see anybody till she got to the side of this house. So between these two houses, she said there was a guy, stark naked, squatting down, like with his arms wrapped around his chest, yelling, screaming, "Help me! Save me! They're coming to get me!" And she said as she stood there watching him, a woman came running out of the house and said, "Get back in the house before somebody calls the cops," and drug him in the house. And she said it was one of the craziest things she'd ever seen. And it just made me think, like, what kind of drugs does that to you? That makes you run naked, screaming out in the morning into between the houses, thinking somebody's chasing you, coming to get you.
I guess the good kind.
The good guy. So it made me think, I thought, man, I got to remember to ask you, did you ever run into anybody that was so messed up on drugs that they just did something crazy like that, or had like superhuman strength or anything?
No, I had the crazy chicken lady. I told the story a couple times.
Yes.
Me. And other than that, no, I didn't really have. I've had a lot of drunks, but most of the time they're puking or pissing on something. So, none with super duper strength or anything like that. So,
now is that because they weren't these kind of drugs being used back?
Yeah, that was They didn't have a lot of real dope heads. I mean, even when you were a kid, I mean, where I'm from, being a pothead was
smoking cigarette.
No, it was just frowned upon.
Yeah, like, but we didn't even have.
If you're gonna be on something, you man up and drink whiskey. Don't be a pothead.
Well, we didn't even have, like, when I went to school, if people smoked cigarettes, they were kind of frowned upon.
Yeah,
I mean, we didn't even.
Cigarettes.
Oh, jeez. Anyway, we didn't even consider drugs.
Right.
I don't even know what there would have been around other than
exactly
Copenhagen and Bush Light or some of those guys.
Skull, wintergreen, long cut. Who knows? I don't even remember all the exotic chews they had.
I remember when they came out, the Bandits.
That's what I find interesting about the pot generation now. I mean, you go places and you step out of the car and it smells like weed.
Oh yeah, on my new mail route, I walk out of the office and do the first two blocks or four. Well, it's actually 4 blocks from the post office. So I walk down and then come back, and I just do it all from the post office. So I load up my bag.
Like weed. It smells like weed the whole way.
And it's the next street. It's kind of a main street, and I will tell you, there's at least 6 houses on the street that as I walk by, I'm like, what? I mean, and I'm walking down by like 8. It's like 8:45 in the morning, and it's like, what are these people doing? I mean, I didn't even know. I mean, and I went to college, of course, And I never was around anybody that smoked marijuana or did.
Yeah, but you played football in college, so they weren't weed. I mean, that's back when.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, I never knew anybody. So it wasn't until I started working in Massachusetts for Enterprise Rent-A-Car that so I was cleaning cars, and I'd get in there and be like, what? And the people, that managed the office would make comments like, oh, they were smoking weed. And I'm like, this is what I'm smelling? And then you realize like every other person that rented a car in Massachusetts was smoking marijuana. It's smoking marijuana in it. And it's like, wow, and that was vastly different than from back home, back in Ohio at that time. Now it's probably, it's got to be just terrible,
50% of them or something.
Well, but I guess, whatever, it's the same as I'm drinking beers, and it's probably better for them than smoking cigarettes. So I don't know.
I don't know. I think smoke inhalation, isn't it?
Look, one of my biggest phobias is not being able to breathe like that, when you get a cold. So I can't imagine even for a second doing it on purpose by inhaling smoke. It can't make you feel that good, can it? I don't know. I have no idea. Although it does look kind of cool to be a pipe guy. Like being a pipe guy, that might be kind of cool. Pipes, they all smell, that smoke.
Yeah, they have some good sweet smelling.
Yeah.
Prince Albert and Cane. I don't even know what's a sweet smell. What is
Prince Albert?
You know what I'm talking about?
You got Prince Albert in a can? Well, yeah, you better go let him out. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, wasn't that the tobacco, the pipe tobacco of the day?
You know what's funny is I worked years ago with I'm sure he's long retired now. There was an old trooper named Philip Morris.
Philip Morris.
And it was actually Morrison.
Okay.
And the guy called the office one day, and I didn't answer the phone, but I was standing there when the guy did answer the phone. Old sergeant answered the phone, and all of a sudden he says, "Nope, but we got Prince Albert in a can." And it fell on deaf ears, and he told the guy, "I'll take your name and number, have him call you." And then he had asked him if Philip Morris was there. He said, "No." That guy, the guy that was answering the phone, is dead too. So I'm glad I got out of that place. I might not have made it to the podcast age.
Well, as long as they let you out of the can, right?
Yeah. Well,
speaking of that, there was a couple passings this weekend. Most notably, James Earl Jones.
I seen that. Yeah.
And as a kid, it took me a long time to realize he was the voice of Darth Vader.
Come on, dude.
Like I did as a kid, I had no idea it was James Earl Jones.
How could you not know?
Well, I didn't know who James Earl Jones was when I was 8.
I watched the thing. You know what they paid him to do that?
Oh, probably like $200 or something.
No, it was, I think $5,000.
Really?
They offered him a percentage of the movie because they had no money.
He turned it down.
And he said he had rent, he had bills paid, and he had heard, he was out there in Hollywood doing the Lord's work. He was in with Slim Pickens in Dr. Strangelove. He was in there playing with film.
Oh my gosh!
He's the navigator.
Okay.
They said that was his big screen debut. But anyway, he said he had heard from everybody, you better take the money because most of these films don't make any money. So when he finally Spielberg or whoever offered him the $5,000, he said, I need the money. I got rent to pay. And then they said, okay, well, what do you need? And they negotiated $5,000. And
wow.
And he said in this interview that $5,000 would have been worth $40 million the following year it was released. That's what his percentage. It was something little bitty, like it was like 1% of the gross or something. I don't remember. It was something itty bitty that they offered him.
That's what Alec Guinness, the guy who played Obi-Wan Kenobi, got, because I forget how much they he really
took a percentage.
He took a percentage as well as getting paid. I think he required both. I think is the story, but he because I think he felt it was kind of like a
cartoon or something.
Yeah, like a step down. You know what I'm saying? Like being in Star Wars wasn't that glamorous. Yeah, and he was a respected Shakespearean actor. So they gave him a percentage, and I forget how much it's worth. I'd have to look it up, but I mean, it's probably worth way more than what. Oh gosh, James Earl Jones's percentage.
Mm-hmm.
Because then I think he. Oh, here you go. 2% of the deal. Oh, 2.5% right there.
And what did that end up being worth? Does it say?
Oh, wait a second. So, okay, so a little more so it ended up being 2.25%. It does not say what that ended up being, but I mean, and it's, God, was it just for Star Wars? Yeah, I'll have to look this up. I'll have to look this up and get back to our our fans. But it said it made him very wealthy.
Well, and you know what James Earl Jones, he said his made him wealthy too, because he was just constantly getting offered jobs after that. So he looked at it as, that it was worth it to him because he'd been working ever since.
Well, look, I mean, Field of Dreams, he was great in that. He was great in Coming to America as Eddie Murphy's dad. He was great in, oh gosh. He was Mr. Myrtle in Sandlot. He was the old guy that had the beast. That had the beast that played baseball with Babe Ruth. Yeah. Gosh, that makes me want to go watch those movies right now. Sandlot's like.
My kids loved it when they were little.
Did they really?
Oh yeah. My 16-year-old. That and Goonies is one of the movies he'll still watch.
Well, that's what that one screenplay I'm working on. I describe it as a combination of Goonies and The Sandlot. Oh. So there you go. Nowadays, it's bound to flop
unless it's got some tranny weed guys. It's going to flop.
Oh, geez. Anyway, I don't think it'll. I don't think that's going to be. If it flops,
okay, that was a Freudian slip there. I didn't mean that.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to. If it flops, it's not going to be because of that. But anyway, when I watched the Sandlot, I do really like, and I think a lot of our listeners are in our age range. Probably the romanticism of those kids growing up in the late 50s, early 60s, and just playing baseball all day, riding around on their bicycles, at the swimming pool, making out with Wendy Peppercorn, like that. That would have been a great childhood growing up,
No.
and there's nothing like that today, unfortunately.
No, there's not. I mean, well, I'm going to stop so I don't have another outburst. But
yes, don't have another outburst.
Yeah, it's certainly not what it used to be, is it? Now, look, we're bringing this down. Let's get something. You had a couple things for me.
Oh, well, so I'm going to use the platform to remind all the fans and all the listeners. Friday, Hotter in Texas, our new song with Wade Jennings, the lyric video comes out, and I guaranteed them that we'd have more views on YouTube on the Hotter in Texas lyric video than the last song they put out, just because of our fans. So there's no pressure, but if all of our fans just go to YouTube after you listen to after you watch episode, go check that out and just play it all day long. It can't hurt anybody, right?
I wouldn't think.
Yeah. So, but I mean, other than that, I was
no hate mail, no fan mail, no questions.
Well, okay. We've been, and it's not me and you. It's not me and you this time. So, so when we did the 500th episode, and we had Wes on from Sasquatch Chronicles, the judge was with me. All right. Now, the judge, he does not have it doesn't work in our schedule for him to come and do a lot of episodes with me anymore because
Right.
we don't do them at the courthouse and stuff like we used
Yeah,
to.
I was just thinking that same thing when I was driving home today.
Yeah, so he
On my
doesn't.
schedule.
Yeah, it's tough. It gets tough. And so when he and I recorded that, he was unaware that for the last year we have been doing video for our YouTube subscribers. Okay. They can get on YouTube if they want to watch it and see a video, and the Patreon subscribers, which you and I are going to be doing an episode here. I don't know. Is it in a couple weeks?
Yeah.
With the crime scene reporter.
Yep.
And we're going to do that on video. So people that
so how did he discover that? Somebody told him, or somebody what?
So anyway, so we're doing the episode, and we get done, okay, and we can see I know what's going on, but the judge he didn't realize that we were being videoed, and when we got done, I gave him a bunch of crap because he is the most fidgety dude ever. Okay, like under his robe, he must be doing all kinds of stuff on the bench because he's not like he's always cracking his neck. He's like cracking his fingers, like moving and stuff. Well, this night he was also yawning. Okay. Now he wasn't making an audible noise, but he's like,
but you could see it.
You could see him yawning. All right. And I gave him a bunch of crap. Like me and Wes kind of like teased him, like, dude, are you that tired? Wes, is that boring? Okay. We didn't think anything of it. Oh my goodness, Wes's fan. So a bunch of Wes's fans came over to listen. It just destroyed the judge. They were just like, you basically said, you are talking to the God of Bigfoot. How dare you yawn in his presence? I'm barely paraphrasing that. Okay. Then I saw one.
I like where their mind's at, their heart's at.
Then I saw one that just came through and said, "Hey, old man," meaning the judge said, "Hey, old man, try to be a little more respectful. Get off the podcast if you can't stay awake." I'm like, oh my gosh.
And you showed it to him.
I did not show him that one. I did.
I'm sure he'd get puffed up, wouldn't you? He would come out with some word salad that sounded like Kamala with a baritone voice.
He could.
I got a JD.
He goes, I don't. He goes, I didn't know I was being videoed. I go, I know. It's only.
You say it sounds like one of those punks in court that says that. You got to know in today's world, everybody's being videoed.
Yeah, you're being videoed. And, and I went after the first guy and I kind of said, you mean the judge? And he goes, well, then he's got the worst courtroom and whatever. I was like,
demeanor or whatever, present.
I'm just like, good gravy. I'm like, dude, you better hope you don't get pulled over for something in Crawford County, Ohio, and find yourself in front of him, because he will not forget a name or, so
we got Crawford County, Missouri, and it's kind of run down and wild. I'll be honest with you. When you say Crawford County, I superpose our Crawford County over with cornfields and think
I got to be honest. I think a lot of states have a Crawford County.
Because they're named after, who was he? Indian fighter? Who was he?
Colonel Crawford. It was Colonel, oh geez. Why can I not think of his first name?
Out.
It's terrible. He's the one that
was indigenous population.
Well, no, it was not actually him. It was oh gosh, I think it's William Crawford.
His designee.
He retired.
Everybody out.
So here's what's cool. We actually did an episode early on in
Colonel William
podcast.
Crawford. Yep, I'm reading it right now.
About
oh my God,
Crawford.
he died in Upper Sandusky.
Yep, just down the road.
He's a member of the Continental Army.
He's
a redcoat killer. No wonder we're so popular in England.
So what happened was Colonel Crawford. We had there. So Colonel Crawford,
he was captured and burned at the stake.
Oh, it's way worse than that. That's sugarcoating it. So Colonel Crawford is a high school here in our county. It's where Christy went to school and is a Hall of Famer at Colonel Crawford High School. okay, named after Colonel Crawford, because the beginning of where he took off from to try to find, oh, geez, there's some people that were captured. And and so what happened is he had actually retired after the Revolutionary War. And George Washington asked him to come out of retirement, okay? Because there's a history teacher at Colonel Crawford High School, Mark Corey, who we had on the show. He is a Colonel Crawford expert. If you go way back to the early episode, if you've never listened to it, it is like it's like a college class, Mr. Crawford. Or Mr. Corey telling him. And the ironic thing is Mr. Corey then he is a direct descendant relative of the last person put to death in the Salem witch
trial.
Yeah, he's the farmer who got the big stone put on him, and they were trying to crush him to make him admit to being a witch. And he so famously said, "Add more weight." That is their relatives. So anyway, Mr. Corey come on and he told the story, and it is amazing. But yeah, Colonel Crawford's basically right-hand man went down the river and wiped out a village, just wiped them clean. And
that's what it took back in them days.
Well, but it was not. It was women and children.
Well, that's what it took back in them days. I mean, they used to fight. They used to fight to win.
Yeah, but the point is, it was a village of Christian men and women. Well,
sometimes you got to break an egg to make an omelet. I don't know what to tell you, but go ahead.
Well, anyway, it cost Colonel Crawford bad. And I mean, they like burned his.
They burned him at the stake. I saw it.
They scalped him. First, they scalped him before they burnt his head. Set him on fire. So it was nuts.
And you're saying they did that because he got the wrong village, or because
they did that because they did that because they thought it was him and did not realize. And he was well known to the Native Americans in this part. The Wyandotte Indians, I believe, is who did it, because that's over there's Wyandotte County. This is Crawford County, and it's Wyandotte County after the Wyandotte Indians. And they were like friends. The leader of the Wyandottes and Colonel Crawford, and they still look like had to do it, man. Had to do it. So it was brutal. It was so that trail goes through some of our farmland from here where it started to where Colonel Crawford ended up meeting his demise. So yeah, so that's, I think I don't know if there was another Crawford that was involved in the Revolutionary War, but he's by far the most famous. But yeah, Mr. Corey has actually gone and visited the family who's left of William Crawford, or Colonel Crawford, and he has personally held and read the letter from George Washington asking him to come and help out at the, and what
sort the natives out, quell the natives.
Yeah, in the Ohio Territory. Yeah.
I had read, talking about when you said put more weight on.
Yeah.
I'd read something today about a dude that it started out a guy in one of Napoleon's guys after the French Revolution and all that.
For everybody listening, you're not sawing something. That's your dog.
No, I got two big ass dogs here trying to figure out what I'm doing. And my big one there, that's the big huffing and puffing. They usually stay upstairs. For whatever reason, they decided to come down here. Maybe they thought I had food. I don't know. He's overweight. He's on Lasix. I put him on Lasix last week and heart medicine because he's about to die. And they told me for $600 I could save him, so I saved him. And there
now
was him.
Here, and now he's down here.
He's followed me. I come home a while ago. I had this on my mind. My wife was up there. The kids done eating, part of them between tennis and football, and I got kids coming in and out, and my wife said, "Well, we've already ate without you, so if you want something, you're gonna have to fix it yourself." So
they thought you had food.
These dogs think I have food. Yes, so I had a hamburger bun, and somehow I ended up with a top. So anyway, she cooked a steak for my one kid, hamburgers for the rest of them, and there was one hamburger left in this like 6-pack. I had a hamburger for lunch, but I didn't want to tell her that. So I went out there and cooked it myself just to use it up. Put a piece of cheese on it, put it on a hamburger bun, and wrapped it in foil like you do at the football game or something. So when I get done here, I could go up here and eat a hamburger. And in between that, I had to medicate the big dog. I wrap his medicine in little pieces of cheese, Velveeta, so he'll eat it. Otherwise they spit the pill out. And I had a leftover, in this pack of buns. There was a bun where somebody had taken the bottom off of one because there was extra top. So I could cut it, tore it in half, and give these 2 dogs something. And if you feed them, they're there for life, So I came down here and.
How do you end up with half of a bun?
I don't know. It's a fluid environment, Shane. When you got wild kids and football players and all that stuff, it just happens. It just happens. I don't look gift bun in the mouth. You know what I mean? If there's just one, I'm just glad that there's one there. When I came down here to my office, and I can't close the door because when I framed that thing up, I got my I made it a little too tight, and my door won't close, and I don't feel like jacking with it because my sheetrock's finished now. So that's just the way it goes here in the Poverty Holler, Poverty Holler Studios. So they're able to run down the stairs and come huffing and puffing in here. And I got a deer head on the floor. And for some reason, here he comes again. Good boy. Hey, good boy, buddy. Good boy. I wish I could show. I don't have a camera. I'd show you. He's 13. His 13th birthday is next month on Halloween. And they huff and puff. What are you so excited for, buddy?
So his birthday's one day after mine, then.
Do what?
His birthday's one day after mine.
There you go. And I got a pile of deer heads and horns and guns and paraphernalia on my floor. And for some reason, they always go sniff all them horns and deer heads.
Well, at least they don't chew on them, do they?
I used to, because I used to tell him I was going to stuff him like that. So I always had him scratch and pet, see him flop his ear. Mm-hmm. I'll scratch his ears here. I might get him to moan on the camera for him.
What would a taxidermist actually do that? Would they stuff a dog?
Well, I'm going to tell you something, Shane. I know that you don't realize this, but politicians, hookers, and taxidermists all do what you pay them to do. Okay. So if you got the money, buddy, they got the time.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the From the Shadows podcast. Until next time, never shy away from the darkness or what may be lurking in the shadows. We are out.
God only knows what time